Hey, what's up guys, Arab here, and welcome back to a brand new video here today, and welcome to another F1 2018 game experiment today, and we have got an interesting one. We're back again with an engine switch. We've done a Red Bull Mercedes, which was quite interesting. Ferrari Honda, which was quite unrealistic, really. And now we've got McLaren Mercedes. I think this one is quite a good one because it's one that I think a lot of people have kind of questioned, really. What would have happened if McLaren stayed with Mercedes? And so what happens if you put a Mercedes engine in the back of the current McLaren? I say current, obviously the 2018, we're on the F1 2018 game. But what would happen if we put a Mercedes engine in the back of the McLaren and Mercedes and McLaren had that relationship once again? Well, we've got the car here. You can see that Mercedes badge on the front end there, like they used to have. Obviously, we kept the papaya orange color because that's kind of McLaren's new identity now in this new era. But we've got the Mercedes badge on the front, an AMG sticker as well at the top here. And we go to the side pods, we've got EQ Power Plus on there. That's where usually the Petrobras logo would be for the fuel. And we've got AMG on the back where usually Renault would be. But this is the McLaren car, but underneath that skin of the engine cover, there will be a Mercedes engine there. So just like with the Red Bull Mercedes experiment and the Ferrari Honda experiment, we're asking the question, would it be any different? You know, what are the top speed differences? How is it in a race? Is it any different? We're going to answer that today. So what we've done, as per usual, we've gone into the files of the McLaren car here, and we basically copied and pasted the Mercedes values for the engine all the way down. You know, we also got the gearbox going on here and also the fuel, because in reality, you know, the fuel, you can have a different fuel supplier to your engine, kind of, you know, you can be a bit different to the engine manufacturer you're being supplied by. A good example is McLaren. Right now, they're actually using the same, I think, oil and fuel as Renault, but they're looking to use Petrobras eventually in the future. But obviously, Renault use Castrol/BP. Same thing here. So, I mean, you can have a difference, but just for the sake of the experiment to be a bit more realistic in terms of how the game works, we're using the exact same fuel values, the gearbox values, the engine, everything is basically a Mercedes car on the rear end of this car with the drivetrain, the drive shaft, the engine, and the engine bay. Everything's a Mercedes car, but everything else is a McLaren. So the wings, the downforce levels, the chassis, we have counteracted the chassis weight a little bit because in reality, the chassis weight in the game does affect the acceleration and is kind of intertwined with how good the car is in a straight line. And in terms of that, intertwines with the engine a little bit, because you'll notice if you go into the game files, the Toro Rosso Honda is quite heavy because they've tried to, you know, slow it down on purpose to kind of mimic what it was in real life in 2018. So we've counteracted that for a little bit as well for the chassis weight to kind of pretend like a Mercedes engine. Probably would be a little bit better package, I guess, than a Renault, being the top engine really in the 2018 game. So there we go. It is the McLaren Mercedes to all extent purposes with the Mercedes badge on the front end. Actually looks quite nice, actually. I think it suits it quite well. Big Mercedes logo on the front and AMG on the back. It looks quite well, actually. Nice, kind of nice and slick in a way in this kind of grey on orange look. But we're going to go ahead, get into this now and do the scientific work and see if McLaren would be any better off with a Mercedes engine in the back of their car. But before we get into looking at the McLaren Mercedes, let's first of all take a quick look at the normal McLaren. So this is the base game, the McLaren-powered, the Renault-powered McLaren, and we're going to see what we can do on the main straight and onto the back straight as well, because the back straight gives us a bit more room to play around with, really. But hopefully taking a similar entry and exit for both times. Obviously, it's not going to be entirely accurate, because sometimes I just change up earlier, open DRS that split second earlier, but going to keep it in a straight line now from now on pretty much and see what we get to as we get to pretty much the I would say, let's say these little bollard lines there. So let's see what that was. Didn't even pay attention on the display. We're just going to see it on the actual car here. So literally as soon as we hit, yeah, like basically in line with these things basically. So as soon as we're like, I would say there-ish. Yeah, there-ish I think works. So let's see what we are on the speedo. We're 198 miles per hour. Did we go any higher? We went 199 was our highest. And obviously the little bump kind of slows us down a little bit. So 199, 198 is the miles per hour that this McLaren Renault can do as we go down the back straight with DRS open. We're now going to go ahead and move it onto the back straight and also see how that goes, because that gives us a bit more room and we can see the total, like, really top end speed ready, because we can go past the bollards, not crash into a wall, and just see what brute force top end speed this car can get to. Right, so go around here, try and plant the power as early as we can. Go up the gears, hopefully get to the same gear point. Obviously, it might be different, you know, but now we're just completely straight here, just going to keep on going and seeing what we get up to. We're at 200 miles per hour, 201. 201 looks it. I think 201. I think 201 is the max we can get in this McLaren Renault. Surprised, actually. I thought we were going to get at least 202 or 3 maybe, but no, 201. Not even anywhere near 205. Right, so that was the McLaren Renault. That's the base one. Now let's hop into the McLaren Mercedes and see what kind of speeds we can get. So now we've jumped into the McLaren Mercedes with the Mercedes logo there. It's a little bit cut off, unfortunately, but it's a Mercedes. Just to let you know, we've got the Mercedes power in this car. I mean, to be fair, you'll hear it in a sec as we go to track. There is the Mercedes sound, and so it feels kind of weird almost to hear the Mercedes engine when looking at the McLaren once again, but here we go then, trying to get the best exit we can. That was a little bit wide, I can't lie, so it wasn't the best exit actually, so if anything I've hindered this run of this experiment. But let's have a look then of how quickly we get up the speed. We're aiming for 199, remember, we're already getting to that, we're already going past that, and we go to the bollards there. And I think that was well and truly a lot faster. I don't know what the acceleration was. The acceleration kind of felt almost the same, really. But if we go to then where we were pretty much before, we were like here, I think, pretty much. This is where, obviously, we didn't smash through the bollard. So let's go right to the beginning. We'll go. Okay, that kind of showcases the game in a bad light. I've gone through it and haven't broken it yet. But let's have a look then at the speedo. 202. We were here when we had the 199, weren't we? And we're at 202, and then smashing through it, we go down to 200. So even when we smash through the barrier and slow down, we're still faster than what we were. So around this range, we were definitely 199. We're now 202. So we've gained 3 miles per hour, 4 miles per hour, depending on where you want to kind of look at where we took the results. So about 3 to 4 miles per hour. Doesn't sound like a lot, but let's hang on here. Let's actually wait. Let's go back. And we'll flash back and we'll go now to, obviously, the back straight and see. So the back straight I've jotted down was 201. So we've already beaten the 201 time on the main pit straight. So let's see the back straight now, what we get. Plant the power up into 6th gear. I think we got a little bit earlier to 6th gear. Gone a bit wide there. Right, set up the car as much as we can. Open DRS. Well, let's see. I think I might have, again, slowed it down a little bit on this run, to be honest, but we're already powering past. It's 204, just going to straighten the car. 205. 205 was the fastest we had there. 205 was it. Did we go any better here? No. 199. We've got that polystyrene board. I think the fastest there, we were 205. If we look at the speedo here, 205 just there. And even going through the bollards, we're 204. But just before we hit the kind of bump, we're 205. So we are 4 miles per hour faster with the Mercedes engine in the back of this thing, which is, I think, pretty much, if I remember correctly, the same-ish kind of results we got to the Red Bull Mercedes car was an improvement of about 4 miles per hour, which surprises me, to be fair, because I think the McLaren is so heavy and slow on the base game that I would have thought it would have been a way more that we would have gained in speed, but fair enough. I mean, I guess the acceleration maybe counts into it, so for that, we're going to go into a race now. So, usual stuff, 5-lap race around Paul Ricard, and let's just see how the car feels, what kind of results. Generally around Paul Ricard, a base McLaren would get around, I guess, you know, around the top 10, you know, bottom end of the top 10, maybe P9, P10, P11, P12. They would certainly qualify around P10 to P12. So let's see if we can make any improvements and any gains in a 5-lap race around Paul Ricard. Right, so here we are at P14, and I think P13 on the grid. I think Alonso's right next to us there. So I actually overestimated maybe where the game would put McLaren in a simulated qualifying session, you know, straight to a quick race for a 5-lap race around Paul Ricard. But let's get going then in the McLaren Mercedes. Very weird to say that, really. Nostalgia trip going back to the silver chrome days. But here we go, 5 lights, and we are underway. And it's a good start from us, actually, compared to Alonso there. But both of us having a good one. Although, to say that, a little bit slow there through the gears. I don't know if the Mercedes gearing's not agreeing with the McLaren car. But so far, we dive it in. It's a good start, actually, for us then into turn 1. A little bit wide, though. Remember, we've still got the aero of McLaren. It's still the chassis and basically the car of McLaren, just the engine and the gearbox and the fuel that's changed. So obviously I can't go any quicker through the corners in terms of, you know, raw downforce, but I can go quicker maybe in the acceleration zones and on the back straight. So let's try and see if we can line this up, get this car turned in. And let's see if there's going to be any difference here. I need to also do some ERS management as well. Let's go to Rich Mix as well. That might make a difference. Rich Mix in the Mercedes engine will be a lot better than Rich Mix in the normal Renault engine. Going to go down to high mixture as we go into the next brake zone. Holcomb has been squeezed out. We're going to try and go down the inside. Oh, Nico, give me the room. Power past him. There we go. Squeezed him out. Going to go back up into hot lap mode. Very difficult to, use all the ERS modes, I gotta say, on a controller. Hulkenberg closes up. You know what? I think this McLaren car has so much drag, they're actually catching us. There's a bit of contact there. But yeah, no, the Mercedes engine might have topped out the top-end speed of the McLaren. But I think the McLaren is so draggy naturally that acceleration zone-wise, it's actually not that much better. We're P10, which is where I kind of think we'd usually be anyway in a normal Renault engine-powered McLaren. So, I don't know. At the moment, I'm not seeing much benefit. Kind of goes back to the whole mystic unveiling of maybe just the McLaren car itself is rather bad. You know, they keep banging on about a great chassis in the last 2 years, and it's they've always blamed the engine. But really now, you can kind of see even here now in the game, we're kind of proving it's maybe not the engine. It really is just the chassis of this thing, and the aero is just not up to tip-top shape, because I'm struggling to get away from Hulkenberg in the corners and catch up to the next cars. Right, 8th gear, Hulkenberg's closing me up with slipstream. The McLaren is just really draggy, you know? It really is just quite draggy. Remember with the Red Bull Mercedes car, we were flying past people, getting away from people, because the Red Bull was quite efficient, but the McLaren is so inefficient for drag that we've been just overtaken by Hulkenberg. Alonso's coming through. Maybe it's just me. Gonna make it maybe 3 wide. Gonna have to lift out of that, brake a little as Ocon comes out of nowhere there. Like an absolute assassin. Have to go to lower ERS modes. Alonso damn eye inside. Gonna try and keep around the inside maybe. Ooh, you know what? Feed it, feed it. Come on, okay. Mercedes power maybe helped us there. Find some traction, some power. I'm going to squeeze out the Renault, but he comes back. It's a switchback move. It's actually a really nice scrap here. Going on the Hulkenberg and Alonso and Ocon, but Ocon's the real annoying Nancy here. Sending one down there inside of that flat right-hander. We're going to dive bomb down the inside. Oh, bit of contact. Sorry, Nico. Right, straight drag race. And I've had a bad exit. Alonso's now down my chuff, but here you see, okay, we're gaining. Okay, gaining a little bit here. It was a bad exit for Hulkenberg. Could Alonso get past him as well? Let's see. Into turn 1, we have a good brake zone. Alonso around the outside. Okay, that time might help out. No, Alonso can't do it though on the exit. So yeah, I think we're confirming the McLaren is actually just very draggy and just quite bad. And it's not really the engine's fault. Going on to lap number 4, Hulkenberg still keeping me honest, and Alonso's AI unable to get past Hulkenberg here. With the McLaren Mercedes car underneath him. I'm surprised. I thought the Alonso AI would have done bits. That's why I went as Van Dorn, because obviously in the game, Alonso's AI is coded to be, you know, many, many tenths faster than Van Dorn's AI. So I thought I'd give the McLaren car a fighting chance here, but he's really not getting past. He's struggling to even try to get past here. And I'm just about only hanging on ahead of Hulkenberg, and I've not caught up to Perez at all. Gonna break the toe of Hulkenberg. See if that makes any difference for Alonso, maybe with DRS. Hulkenberg's got DRS though as well. Remember, I'm running out of fuel as well because I need to go standard eventually. Down. No, Alonso's nowhere near. He's nowhere near. This car is a boat. And at the end of it here, at the end of 5 laps, the McLaren just about gets P10. So I guess I kind of got that right. I said we're aiming for around P10-ish, but that really was quite underwhelming. The McLaren Mercedes. Not what I expected. I thought we were going to get another Red Bull Mercedes situation where it kind of improved a bit. You know, I couldn't really even tell the improvements that much. I mean, saying that, if you remember back to the Red Bull Mercedes, we also concluded that the engine just can't make that much of a difference. There's a lot of factors, because the Red Bull still wasn't amazing with the Mercedes engine. But, I mean, the McLaren definitely wasn't amazing at all. Like, at least with the Red Bull, I could feel a sense of more power and some improvement. But that McLaren just felt like a normal McLaren, really, with the Mercedes engine kind of just firing away like normal, like the Renault engine in a way. I was surprised. I was very shocked about Alonso's AI. I thought he was going to do a lot better with that Mercedes power underneath him on the straights. But yeah, I guess that concludes the McLaren. Really is just that bad of a car in the 2018 game in terms of the chassis and the aero front there. But nonetheless, that's been the scientific experiment done with. Very scientific experiment done with what happens, what if the McLaren Mercedes partnership came back. So guys, if you did enjoy the video, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're on your own, subscribe for weekly Formula content. I've been Alpha. I'm sure today, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.